You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Real Housewives of New Jersey After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Real Housewives of New Jersey After Show.
Woo!
I feel like this is the song for the summer, right?
Woo! Oh, I love this song.
Have you seen the video?
No, I've heard about it.
It's a cute video.
Yeah.
Hey!
Gets me all
Alrighty.
jacked up for Real Housewives. Woohoo!
All right, guys, if you were tuning in and you happen to hear Eric and I singing here, we are here for our AfterBuzz recap of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, your favorite housewives from the Garden State. And let's see here. We want to remind you to make sure you check us out on iTunes. Make sure you rate us and comment, because we go back, we read every comment. We love to have little comment shout outs at the end of the show, and, you know, love to engage you guys. So keep it coming. You know, whether it's good, bad, you don't like something we've done, you have a suggestion, keep the comments coming, because we like it, right, Erika?
Yep, yeah.
All right, and let's introduce ourselves.
Alrighty.
I'm Diona Vaughan, and you can find me on Twitter at GoToGirlTV, and I think I'm going to tweet something right now just to make sure you guys know that we're here. Erika?
Hey. I am Erika Garcia Rojas, and I'm your host here for Real Housewives of New Jersey. I'm so excited to be back. I was really, really sick last week, and I was watching the Housewives episode last week, practically on my deathbed, but I am back.
She is
and
back.
Excited to chat about the Housewives.
Yeah,
so.
We had Jake here last week,
who
filled in, and everybody, I got some comments about Jake. They're like, yeah, we like the male perspective, so you might see more of Jake in oncoming shows, so we will see about that. All right, so we got to talk about this juicy episode.
Yep.
When Joes collide. Now, at the top of the episode, everybody's prepping for the retreat. You know, we see the camera, you know, switch to the different families, to the Gorgas and to the Judices. And the Wakilis, sorry. And the one common theme is that no one seems to be very excited about this retreat.
That and that the women pack way too much stuff.
Oh my God.
And they all have Louis Vuitton suitcases.
Everybody has Louis Vuitton luggage. I wonder if that was sponsored, if it was free, if it was,
I'm
sure
they have it. I'm sure it's like that's what they have.
Yeah, but no one's excited, and I can't say that I don't get that, because we've seen how many retreats and trips, you know, with this group, and it's like at this point they should know what to expect.
It's like beating the dead horse. The only one that kind of seems quasi sort of excited is Teresa, because it was kind of her idea.
Exactly.
And Rosie.
Yeah.
Rosie does seem to be, in some ways I almost feel like she's trying to be the glue to hold everyone together and get everyone back.
Yeah, which is an interesting role for her to take.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, here's what surprised me. So, look who wasn't attending this big retreat. So, both Caroline and Jacqueline chose not to attend. And I think at first when, you know, I realized that watching the episode, I was like, well, wait a minute. Caroline was the one that, you know, she's been very, like, pivotal with talking to Joe and talking to Teresa and trying to help them figure it out. So I'm like, wouldn't she want to be there? And the same with Jacqueline, because I feel like Jacqueline's been going a little cuckoo crazy. So were you surprised to hear that these two weren't going to
Well, I think they
join
mentioned
everybody?
it last week that they weren't going to come.
Did they?
I think they said something about it, that they weren't going to be there and they weren't going to come. So I kind of came into this episode.
Well, I
thinking
don't know if I remember them saying anything about definitively not coming. And even I checked out Caroline's blog, which she actually wrote her blog literally 2 hours before the show aired tonight. And she mentioned that Jacqueline and I declined the invitation to Lake George, hoping that our absence would allow everyone to focus on the family mending with no distractions. I get that.
Yeah, I agree with the whole thing with Caroline and Jacqueline not going. I think it's not
necessary.
It's a family thing. It's a family thing, and there's such. I mean, it's a brother and sister, and there's such deep-rooted issues and other things also with, with the parents are now getting involved.
Yeah.
And so, if I were Caroline, if I were Jacqueline, I would be doing the same thing. I'm like, it's not my place. This is a family thing. And it wasn't like Teresa really herself extended the invitation, and she was the one organizing it. So.
Well, she extended the invitation to Jacqueline, because remember that whole conversation in the boutique. Teresa didn't really extend it. It was more like, it was kind of like, sure, you can. And Teresa even said during this episode, like, I think like Kathy extended an invitation to them, or somebody extended an invitation to them, and if they wanted to come, they could have. But I think it was better, and I'm interested to see in the next episode, like, how this whole retreat happens, because I think it's better that Jacqueline's not there. However, we see Teresa still brings Jacqueline into the fold. I know, and we can actually kind of fast forward and talk about that right now. I know some of you like us to follow along the episode, but sometimes we have to mix it up a little bit. So let's get to the retreat. All right, just right off the back. So yes, Teresa, she kind of extends a half-assed invite to Jacqueline, like, oh, whatever, she can come. I kind of feel like she was, I don't know, kind of, what's the word I want to use? Maybe bullying her? Yeah, I dare you to show up type deal. And even though I agree, like, watching everything that went down, it's probably good that she wasn't there. Did you think it was weird, like, that the first, like, I don't know, 10 minutes of that main session, they were talking about Jacqueline?
And that's the thing, like, Teresa and one of her director cameras was like, I wanted this whole weekend to start on on a great positive note. So that's why we're doing these team building. But the second everyone walked in the door, she talks about Jacqueline. And everyone there, Kathy and Melissa, they were all like, I don't know. Okay, she tweeted, I'm not going to talk about it. And, like, it's like Teresa, she gets upset with them about it too, and she's like, oh, they're not even going to talk about it, blah blah blah. And and there just seems to be just something with Teresa, like, putting all the blame on Jacqueline on this entire issue. And like what Melissa and Joe both say, they're like, Teresa's taking no blame whatsoever, and she's putting that blame on Jacqueline.
Totally. And I also think Teresa was really upset that she didn't come, and that's clear because we saw that. But I think one of the big reasons is because we know she doesn't take responsibility for anything. She didn't have anyone there to, like, pass the buck, and I think she was kind of counting on that. She wanted Jacqueline to be there so she could, point the finger, you, it's your fault, you started all this, but she didn't have her scapegoat, to do that. So I think she was a little lost, and then she was just back to old Teresa, like, not taking responsibility.
It's crazy. I mean, I really think that Teresa is somewhat delusional. I mean, if you were to go back and watch the footage from last season and really watch what happened, it does look like Jacqueline's trying to help, unless obviously there's situations and things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But it doesn't look like Jacqueline's out to legitimately get Teresa at all. It looks like she was trying to fix the situation, and maybe it didn't happen perfectly, but it wasn't anything that Jacqueline was deceitful about. And Melissa says something during this episode, which I totally agreed with, was that it's like, when there's issues with people, you've got to give and take a little. You've got to give a little and say, okay, part of this was my fault. I did this. But Teresa is not willing to give herself any of the blame, like none of it. So how do you work with someone like that? It's practically like a brick wall.
Yeah.
It's like saying, Teresa's like, no, not my fault. Jacqueline did everything. And I want to work things out with my brother, and don't talk for my brother. And it's like, dealing with her, like, honestly, would be like dealing with like crazy person.
I just think it's so interesting at this point, like, just with this family, the issues, we're in season 5, that Teresa still she can't take any responsibility for any of these relationships. like for her part in anything, with her relationship with her cousin, with her husband, with her brother, with her she can't take responsibility for any of it. And it just, I want to shake her.
Yeah.
Like, I just
But
want to say,
they all
wake up.
do. But that's the thing. They all want to shake her. Like, and you can see in this episode, you can. I mean, you've seen it since the beginning of the season. Joe Gorga he's done. Like, he's done with this sister. He has no interest in reconciling with her. He has no interest. Like, his attitude shifted. Like, last season, there was like a heart in him. There's a
hope,
part of him that like says like, she's my sister and blah blah blah. And you just see a lot of this season just like being fed up and being done. And it just, you don't see that from him, that interest in wanting to reconcile.
I feel like when I watch this show, I'm becoming a therapist, so to say, like, as we like just unfold this. Here's one thing too. I think another one of Teresa's problems is the fact that she separates her brother and Melissa, and they are two separate people, but just the comments that she makes about, Melissa, you're putting stuff in my brother's head, and he's not speaking for himself. She separates that relationship between the two, when at the end of the day, and you're married, you can speak to this too, like, they are a team, they're a unit, and if you offend his wife, you're offending him. And it's like she's not getting that.
She doesn't get that relationship, and she doesn't get like her role as a sister is changed. Like, granted, you and your brother were inseparable growing up. That's awesome. That's amazing. But when he gets married, the number one woman in his life is no longer you, Teresa. It's his wife. And he has loyalty to his wife, unfortunately, over his sister.
Yeah.
And so Teresa just doesn't get that. And like, like at the end when they see them in that circle and Melissa's saying something and Teresa's like, oh, go speak for him. And she's like, it's like, you can't. It's like, of course you're gonna speak. This is your husband. This is we're a team,
right?
And Teresa just doesn't get it, and I think that's fundamentally the big issue.
The biggest
issue. The biggest thing is that Teresa feels she needs to be number one with her brother, and she's jealous of the fact that Joe has this woman that he's married to, that this is his commitment and this is his priority. Yeah. And Teresa still can't get over it.
Get it.
She wants to be number one.
And it's like this weird Freudian thing.
It is
you
a
know
weird
what I
thing,
mean?
yeah.
Like, I have a sister, I don't have a brother, so I can't
I have
really.
two sisters too. So
I can't speak to it, but like I just really, I would love for us to like maybe get like a therapist or somebody on the line who can help break down this relationship. It's almost like until she gets,
her
role as a sister, and she's married too. That's why I don't understand the breakdown with that. But just for whatever reason, like, I've always known that, but just seeing this retreat and seeing her behavior and the things that she had to say, I'm like, it's never going to register with her.
And like, I think she's delusional because she says, I want to make this work. I want to make this work. I love my brother. I love my brother. We're family. We're blood, blah, blah, blah. But then you see what she's saying, it's not necessarily like lining up with her behavior. And Melissa, like how at the end, she's like sitting there like, oh, I have no, what was she saying? Like, I have no,
she I forgive you. I have no resentment towards you. Let's just,
and so like on. She's on her knees, like begging you, bowing down to her, and then Teresa turns around like, look at her. She's like, Melissa is like being awful to me. She's being horrible, and it's like, Melissa's not really doing anything. She's just reacting to like everything that's happened thus far.
And I think at the end of the day, I still think Teresa is.
Oh, I'm not worthy.
She's not worthy.
I'm not worthy. I'm not. Yeah.
I think Teresa is still a little confused too about what is being expected of her. Because at the end of the day, in my eyes, what I've broken down, this is what the expectation is. Melissa wants her to stop talking shit about her, because basically Teresa always seems to find herself out with these groups of people who somewhere at some point in the evening, they're starting.
A bomb.
Yeah, they drop a bomb about her sister-in-law, about Melissa, and all Melissa is asking is that, can you just walk away?
Yeah.
Like, we're family. So if you hear,
either walk away or make it stop.
Yeah.
Like, if you're at the salon and you hear that bald guy talking about it, why did you just sit there? And I totally agree with Melissa.
Yeah,
like,
I do too.
If you really have the interest of your brother at heart, and you're sitting there and you hear someone talking smack about your brother's wife, regardless if you know or not that's true, if what you're saying is what you're saying, that you want to protect this relationship, then you should have said something.
Right.
You should have either said something, stopped it, or walked away.
And that's what Teresa's missing.
Yes,
she's
that's
missing,
the disconnect.
She's got a disconnect with linking her with Melissa with her brother. She's just thinking, I have to make things right with my brother, but not getting that involves your sister-in-law.
That's true. Exactly.
And that involves hurting her. And I have to agree, you know, like that phrase, you lie down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. You know, Teresa keeps saying, you know, she has nothing to do with, you know, these things that are said about Melissa. But why is it that she's always finding herself, you know, at an event, at a bar, at a restaurant where people are talking shit about her?
And why continue to surround yourself by somebody who causes such issues with the family, like Kim D? Like, she says, oh, Kim D and I are such good friends and blah, blah, blah. But it's apparent that Kim D is bringing all this crap up to make herself relevant, to make herself to be on the show. Whatever Kim D's motives are, they're obviously, they're not good. And for Teresa to continue that relationship, knowing that relationship itself causes disruption with her sister-in-law and her brother, is another kind of action on Teresa's part that isn't congruent with what she's saying of, I want to save our relationship.
She's sending a message to Melissa saying, basically, I don't care about you. I don't care about our relationship. And I can give a shit about mending things with my brother, because I'm just going to keep hanging out with these, you know, toxic people who she knows don't have Melissa's best interest at heart. But I think at the end of the day, I think these are the only friends that Teresa might have. And I say friends very lightly. And it's funny because I read Melissa's blog and she even made a comment. She said, you know, it was just really inappropriate for Teresa to be, you know, with Kim D and even Melissa's friend, you know, the one that was in her wedding.
That was so weird, yeah.
And basically, there were accusations being thrown around that, like, she was giving guys, you know, PJs and stuff like that. And she was just like, I cannot believe, because she basically went back and, you know, was talking about watching last week's episode. She's like, I cannot believe she sat there while you're talking about that on national television.
Granted, she didn't participate in it. Granted, she kind of said, like, oh, no, I don't know anything about it. But honestly, like, if that was, like,
up and leave.
And Teresa needs to treat Melissa like Melissa is actually her sister.
Exactly.
Because if that was her sister, that's like her blood sister she was talking about, I guarantee, or her daughter, I guarantee Teresa would have stood up and said, stop it, that's not true, or stop it.
Exactly.
And left.
That's a good point.
So,
treat her like she's,
treat
you
her
know,
like
your
she
daughter,
is your
or
daughter.
or your true blood family.
And the reality, that's what it is. It's not like you said, Diona. It's not like a separate entity. Oh, that's just Melissa and that's not my brother. She's tied to your brother. She's the father. She's the mother of your nieces and nephews. Yeah. She is part of your family. Yeah. And regardless if you like the woman, if you are
at least respect that.
But respect that relationship and treat her like what you say it is. Like what you say, you know, we're family.
It's funny because even though Melissa this season, you know, she's kind of been had some questionable behavior.
Yes,
what I do like about her, it's getting kind of hot in here.
Ooh. Ooh, I think it's all this juicy,
I know, right?
Housewives.
No, but what I was going to say is one thing I like Melissa's approach, because when she started the conversation at the retreat, she said, do you love Antonia? Do you love your niece and nephew? And I like that tactic, because just to your point, you know, these are your brother's children. Yeah. And if you love them, and if you love the relationship your kids have with our kids, then why are you doing this to their mother?
Here's the only problem that throughout this episode that I see is because a lot of it, and you know, everyone's like team this, team that. I like to just see it like, what are people doing? You know, what's going on?
Right.
Let's call it what it is. So, you know, a lot of ways I kind of side with Melissa because of like Teresa's behavior and just a disconnect between what she says she's going to do and what she actually does.
Right.
The problem is that Melissa, we see it a lot more. She's taking a lot of jabs and she's going a little bit below the belt. I mean, we saw her in the tweet, but not only that, we saw her in the bus saying to Joe like,
oh yes, the whispered conversation in the bus.
Be like, he doesn't give a crap about her. He's cheating on her left and right. And you know what, Melissa? I just hate to see her stooping to that level, because then she does look guilty too in other ways by saying things like that.
Well, at the end of the day, she's doing it too.
Yeah, she is.
You know,
she's doing it,
and we can't have a double standard. No. Obviously, she's doing it too. But yeah, I'm glad you just brought that up. That whole whispered conversation. Basically, she said,
did you write down?
I did. He said, he doesn't love her. He doesn't care what she says because he doesn't love her because he's cheating and all this kind of stuff. Now, we also know this to probably be true when it comes to,
I believe it. I hate to say it. I believe
know.
based on like what we saw last season with him at the vineyard and that conversation on the phone, and who knows? I mean, we don't know for a fact, but like I kind of believe it. But for Melissa to throw it out there again,
I know,
put it out there, knowing that that's gonna probably air, knowing that it's gonna be on
exactly.
TV.
And Melissa, it's schemes, not schmemes. Okay, we noticed that little flub up.
Yeah.
This whole family has a thing with the command of the English language,
say things.
but
and history.
Yeah, and history. But let's get back to
and also the other thing.
Ahead.
One other thing that Melissa said. I think it was when they walked in. It's like, oh, she's a happy witch right now. She's like my evil stepsister.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, girl,
I mean,
Melissa, come on.
she's definitely, she
Don't
stirs
do the catty.
it. Yeah,
Don't do the
she's
catty.
being catty and she's stirring
catty.
it. She's stirring. At the same time, there's a part of me that feels like she's gotten beaten up
sick
so
of it.
much.
Yeah.
She's sick of it and she's just, what else does she do? But, you can't fight fire with fire.
The problem is that she's living her life. She's living her life and like kind of like, and we all have those moments where we're catty and you like say things and you're like, ooh, I shouldn't have said that. Problem is everyone's watching it.
Everybody's watching it.
And what they're going to air is that kind of behavior. They're not going to, air the normal whatever. They're going to air the couple moments that you maybe drank too much and said something stupid.
Exactly. Now, let's talk a little cray talk with Jacqueline. And I feel like we kind of touched on this last week. Jacqueline's getting a little crazy. And her behavior's getting a little strange, I think. So a couple things. First of all, Joe Giudice said that Jacqueline texted him basically saying, if you still want a friendship with Chris, you guys can still have a friendship outside of what's happening with me and Teresa. And do you think that's true? Do you think she really texted him that? I just think that's so
I thought that was
strange.
So weird.
Why, like...
I don't have much faith in Joe Giudice in anything he says. So
do you think he was just
but
exaggerating?
I don't know.
Where would that come from?
I don't know if he would just flat out lie. I don't know.
I just think that would be really strange for Jacqueline to go out of her way to text Joe and say, hey, you can still be friends with Chris. And mind you, Chris, her husband, and Joe Giudice really don't have the...
they weren't even that close.
I mean, they've got their boys' nights and they do stuff like that, or sausage parties. I don't know. I mean, not sausage party, but you know what I mean. Where they eat Italian sausage. Poker nights. That could be misconstrued.
You could call it a sausage
Sorry.
party.
Yeah, you could. But they've never really, I wouldn't consider them to be close friends or, they, keep in touch or hang out or do anything like that. So I find that I thought that was the weirdest comment that she would text him.
I thought it was weird too.
I don't know why he would lie about something like that. But I don't know. According to Joe Giudice, Jacqueline texted him.
That was weird.
And some more crazy things Jacqueline's doing. So she tweeted, and we actually wanted to get this tweet verbatim. So Jacqueline tweeted about Teresa. She says, when you argue with a moron, you become a moron. You have to rise above and remember who and what is really important in life. Some things don't matter. Let it go. She's obviously talking about Teresa. I don't know. What do you think is going on with Jacqueline?
You know what I think is going on with Jacqueline is I think she's dealing with her son.
Yeah.
That's a really tough thing. You find out your son is autistic.
Yeah.
It's huge, right? Mm-hmm. And so that, and who knows what other crap she's still dealing with her daughter.
Right.
We don't know. She's out of the show now. I'm assuming there's still issues. Mm-hmm. She's not going to turn around.
Suddenly turn it, yeah.
She was awful.
Yeah.
And so she was. I think I'm going to go so far as saying she's like one of the worst people like on reality television. I think her behavior was just awful. So anyways, like, she's dealing with that. But especially what she's dealing with her son is not easy. Yeah. And at the same time, she's now wrapped in this world of reality TV. Right? Mm-hmm. And she got herself into it. And this was before she had her son.
That's true.
So it's like she's in this world of reality TV, which I partly think at this point, I don't know financially if they have to do it. I don't know. So they might have to
keep going.
Yeah, I've heard they get paid a good amount of money to be on that show.
Absolutely.
And plus any other perks or whatever.
Yeah.
So they probably they might need the money.
Yeah, and 5 seasons in, you're used to that, Jack. I'm sure you're
used to it. So in some ways, like Jacqueline is dealing with this huge thing with her son, and yet she now is also filming the reality show. So I think I would have to say like her personal circumstances is probably making her act a little bit like this. And she's probably I think so. I think she's probably looking at this whole thing with Teresa and looking at it and be just like, dude, I'm so done with this. I'm so done. And I don't care. I'm going to say what I really, really feel now. Like, I've been holding it in. And I think Jacqueline partly feels herself, like, totally wronged. I think she does really genuinely feel that she was trying to make things work with Teresa, trying to work on the relationship. And Teresa, the way she, reacted to Jacqueline, I think Jacqueline's done. I think she's done and she's over it. And that breaking point? Yeah. I think it hit Jacqueline end of last season. And so running into this season, she's like, I'm done. Yeah. I'm done. I don't give a shit about this BITCH, I'm over it. Yeah. So when you see Jacqueline talking about it, it's like this horse that she's having to beat, this dead horse she's having to beat because she's getting paid to do it on TV.
That's a good way to look at it. So yeah.
Like, I gotta talk about Teresa again. All right. What am I gonna say? Well, this woman's a bitch. I'm done. I'm done, and I'll talk about it because I have to get paid to talk about it. But I'm so over it. So that's my perspective on it.
Maybe you're right, because I feel like lately her behavior, her behavior has been a little like just. Yeah. It's like she's got no filter. Like it just anything comes out, and it just comes out when you least expect it, whether it's tweeting or texting or whatever. And maybe you're right. Maybe she's just so fed up. She's just like, all right, what do I have to lose at this point? Yeah. I might as well put it all out there. And
like her relevance to the show really is only
it's diminished for sure.
Yeah, because the focus of the show. I mean, it's interesting since you've watched the beginning of this Housewives. Yeah. Teresa was just one of the characters. She wasn't the main focus.
Character, right.
So, but it has slowly morphed into the Teresa show. Yeah. And the Teresa family show and the Teresa drama show. And so Jacqueline's role is now really has to do with her relationship with Teresa. So granted, there's only so much you can, focus on with her son. That's a storyline, but the main storyline is Teresa.
I bet you, I don't know, a cocktail. I bet you we are going to see like Teresa and her brother either on like Dr. Phil or Dr. Drew or like one of those intervention therapy shows. I
would love to see that.
I can see that coming. Yeah. I can see it coming, especially if they stay on this path, like at this retreat. They hadn't really spoken in a year and a half. That is insane. You've got aging parents. Her dad has been in the hospital and you guys aren't speaking. It's just... I bet. I cannot wait for that day, and they pop up on some show.
And what's interesting is that, like, just kind of one other thing that I was thinking about with the whole retreat and something that Teresa said is that, when her and Melissa were going at it, Melissa was on the floor begging for, forget whatever. Teresa brings up the fact that, and they're moving away. It's like, yeah, Teresa, they're probably moving away because something that happened. Yeah. Something that maybe you said or did. Something that happened. But Teresa loves to focus on, like, the reaction as opposed to focusing on, like, what caused it. But, like, Teresa's so focused on, like, look how awful Melissa is. She's moving her kids so they can't be around my kids. And it's like, well, why? What led to that point?
Did you catch it where Teresa was going off on her rant? This is at the retreat, and she was talking about her brother, and she said, you've been hanging out with strangers or whatever. She was basically, the way I interpreted what she said, that she was referring to Melissa as a stranger.
Wait, when was this?
This was when they were at the retreat, and she was just going off, talking to her brother, basically in her rant, saying, you talk to other people, you talk to, a stranger, and I took that, I could be wrong, but I interpreted that as her referring to Melissa as a stranger. Huh. Because
she could have been.
I don't know who else she'd be referring to, know?
Who knows?
Because at least for what we see on the program, we see Joe Gorga talking to Rosie or Caroline, we don't see him talking to strangers. So I was trying to figure out who is she referring to as a stranger. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is. If she was referring to Melissa, then it just shows her mentality. It just shows like her like what we talked about, the fact that she sees Melissa as this outsider still.
Now, how bad did you feel for Opie and Ms. Sunshine, aka the team builders?
Oh my God, it was so. I thought it's funny because I thought the same thing as they walked in. I'm like, dude, these guys are no match. Like they needed like someone like The Rock or someone, like they needed
with the big voice and a big presence,
like almost like a military guy, and like as I was thinking, come on, team builder, as they were like arguing and stuff. Come on, team builder, get in there and team build, like, or at least like manage the situation. He's like, all right, guys. I was like, I wanted to step in there and be like, shut the F up, let her talk, or someone like a Dr. Phil.
I know.
Who's got a presence and who's got that voice, and it's like, no, da. They needed someone, not like Miss Sunshine. What did they call him?
Opie and Mrs. Sunshine.
Yeah, like.
Well, I think what's funny is that the minute those two walked in the door, they were doomed because they judged them right off the bat based off of their looks. You know, they look young or whatever, and so they already had that expectation that they weren't going to deliver, and that's what kind of happened. I mean, they did that first exercise.
So they could have turned around and really impressed people. You know, sometimes walks in, and you're like, oh, and you're like, wow, I really underestimated them. You know.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, they kind of lived up to the stereotype because they sat there while that whole fight went down. I mean, and of course they do it at the very last 3 minutes of the show.
Where they get into the fights.
Where it looks like Melissa got slammed up against the window. But I was underwhelmed with the team builders.
I was very underwhelmed.
I was expecting more.
I was hoping for more. I was really hoping for a strong presence. Somebody to really try and like work things out.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting too excited. I keep hitting the microphone.
And the one guy, he looked like he was from Happy Days. Didn't he look like Ron Howard? It was kind of funny.
I thought so too.
All right, so on to a lighter, more funny topic from this episode. So Richie is on a roll.
Yeah, he was pretty
Richie
funny.
and his one-liners, so funny. Like his first one, what did he say? I don't think Teresa even knows how to spell retreat.
Well, if you remember last week, Teresa had to explain to Joe what a retreat was. He was like, what is that? She's like, well, a retreat is something when you go with people.
Away.
I'm like, oh my God, these people are so uneducated. I don't know if it's like what it is. They're just not cultured, not educated. Because some of the simple things that they just don't know.
I
like
know.
Napoleon, what's a retreat? It's like, come on, dude.
So insane. But yet they could probably tell you all the many different types of pasta, tomatoes, and sausages.
Well, but according to Joe, Teresa doesn't even really cook. So who knows? Maybe she had to go to Mom for all that information.
I don't know. But what was his other one-liner?
Okay, he had a few really funny
and responding to Jacqueline's tweet about when you argue with a moron, he said, Teresa, why do you assume that's about you? You're not the only moron.
And then the other thing he said that was funny is when they were like driving up, they're like, look at us, we're all like in jeans and all that, and the numbnuts are going to have an evening gown on when we walk
He's right.
Well, they were dressed more.
Remember when they went to Napa last season and like they're like literally camping outdoors and they had on the furs and the boots and the Louboutins? It's like, really?
Come on, guys.
Packing like 4 bags for like 2 days. So I don't know.
I could be a little guilty of overpacking, but at least the reason I overpack is because you pack for the situation. I'm not gonna wear like a freaking
I know.
like ball gown out to camping or out to team building activities.
Oh, you know what? One thing that we glossed. Well, we didn't even bring it up, but I want to talk about it. Joe Giudice's horrible comment that he made about autism. About a lot of people have it. It's not a big deal. Like
so
really,
bad.
And to see the look on her face, she was just like, you're not saying this. You're not saying this. Please stop. You're saying this on national television. He made himself look like, we already know that he's an ass, but that comment,
well, that's not surprising to me because based on what we've seen of him and the things that he said, he just, I hate to say, he's just like this giant buffoon. He's just an idiot. Like, it's just the things that come out of his mouth. And Teresa even had to mention it in her direct to camera, like, oh, he's the nicest person I know, and when he says these things, I know he doesn't really mean it. So what is it, Teresa? Is your husband an idiot or is he just an asshole?
She was cleaning up house for that.
Like,
she knows she's gonna get a lot of I can't wait to read the comments from the blogs after tonight's episode, because I'm sure that's gonna be addressed.
He's put his foot in his mouth, and here's the thing is, like, I don't even think he sees us putting his foot in his mouth. Like, before, remember seasons ago, and he had all those gay comments? Yeah. And he got, Teresa got a lot of a lot of comments about that. Yeah. And now with this, it's just it's so bad.
Well, because first of all, you're talking about a child, a defenseless child.
A child.
Like, come on, that should have no space in that little pea brain of his. Just keep your comments to yourself.
He's saying, he's using, Jacqueline's using this kid as an excuse. He's like, a lot of people have it. Like, scientists have it. It's like, It was so. I mean, I know, Diona, as we were watching it, you guys, as we were
was
like watching it, both with Diona and I were like, oh my
God,
I can't believe he said that.
Just yeah, I certainly wasn't expecting that comment, but look who the source is.
Only he could say it.
Only he could say it.
He makes for good TV. I hate to say that.
He does.
I mean, because,
he's an idiot.
He's so bad.
It's kind of interesting when I think it was Adriana at the very beginning when they were packing. She's like, "Oh, be the monster, be the monster," and I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, "Yep, he's the monster, all right."
Yeah.
Oh God, did we cover everything?
I mean, just the other thing too is like just Kathy and Rosie's role out there. Rosie trying to be that glue that holds everyone together and really trying to work things out and dragging Joe out of the retreat and all that. And Kathy at the beginning of the episode, she said, he's like, well, Richie's like, I don't even want to be there. Like, I don't even, want to go. And Kathy's like, I think that will be the calming force. And that's so Kathy to say, we're going to be the calming force. They're going to be the ones that, like, try and, like, mediate or whatever. But I don't know.
We just got a tweet from the Real Housewives gossip. They said, love the show. Please keep talking about how crazy everybody is.
Oh, they're cray.
I mean, of course. Cray is always here. Thanks for tweeting.
Yeah.
But did we miss anything else?
Yeah, the other thing that we missed that I want to bring up is that at the end of the episode, right? I want to go into this. So at the end of the episode, you got Joe Gorga and Teresa like going at it, and Teresa trying to talk to her brother or whatever, and Joe saying and Teresa saying we're family,
okay.
we gotta stick together, we gotta stick with the people, we have to stick with each other, and Melissa's stick with the people who hurt us the most, and Joe's like, I'm not sticking with scum like you. And Teresa's face as Joe said that, Teresa's face is like, because Teresa in her head is like, I can do whatever I want. We can do whatever we want. We fight, but we'll do kissy, huggy, because we're family, we're blood, we stick together. And Joe took that and whooshed right out of there.
Listen to that sound effect, Rojas. Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to ask
I'm not sticking with scum.
Do you think he went too far by saying that about his sister? Or do you think it was just
what I think went too far is what happened later. The
right.
physical thing is always too far, especially between family and even with not family. But I don't think so, because Teresa needs to understand what her actions do, and what she does have a huge effect. And just because you're family and just because you're blood doesn't mean all is going to be forgiven.
People.
I know you were sitting with Kim D. I know you didn't say anything. I know you let her say that. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, if you there's only so much a person can take, and that's why I said at the beginning of us talking about this, like, I think Joe is done.
Yeah.
He's over. He's done. He's done, and he's like, I'm not sticking with scum like you, and then you see Teresa run outside, get her husband, but here's the thing. Joe, Joe the buffoon runs inside though, but it looked like he was just running inside for an apology. Right?
But what happens, and we're going to see more of this next week. Joe Gorga, he ran up on him. He initiated the physical confrontation.
Which I saw them like, I know. Because you're like, dude, then everyone's in the same pot. They're all bad.
I know.
So,
well, speaking of bad, we are running out of time. So we're so much to talk about. We're going to finish this next week. And before we do a couple comment shout outs, we want to remind everybody about Cereal Buddies, about how you can actually download it on iTunes. How much is it, Marissa? Is it $6.99?
$5.99.
$5.99. Cereal Buddies.
$5.99. You're out of your mind. I
like that. But you guys really need to check out Cereal Buddies. It's hilariously funny. Great cast. Who do we have in there? Maria Menounos, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy Griffin. Oh God, I can't think off the top of my head. Oh, do we have a little help with the cast of Cereal Buddies?
Kathy Lee Gifford.
Yes.
Beth Bears from Two Broke Girls.
Oh, she's so funny.
Henry Winkler narrates.
Oh, nice.
Christopher Lloyd. Christopher McDonald.
Yes.
And then some of our own AfterBuzzers have been a part of it.
Yes. So we would love for you to support Serial Buddies by downloading it on iTunes. It's $5.99. And not only you're going to pay for a great, funny movie, but you're also paying to help support AfterBuzz, the studio, so we can bring you great shows.
For free.
For free. We've got these amazing new studios there. I wish you guys could be here to see it in person because they're absolutely amazing. So don't forget about that. And then really quickly, quick comment shout out. Couple people, they think that the Housewives should be recast. Jay Nivens, 78, and Champs, 3216. Jay Nivens thinks that Kim G, Danielle, and Jen Dalton should all be a cast together. That would make for a very interesting show.
I would love for them to bring back Danielle too.
Yeah, that would be a whole different type of show.
It would be a different show, yeah.
It wouldn't even be called Housewives. It'd be called something else.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm so done with the Gordices. I thought that was pretty funny.
Good. Gordices, I love that. Isn't
that funny?
We got some smart fans out there.
And we also had somebody comment about Jake being here last week. She really loved, do I have your username? Let me do this really quickly. Detta loved Jake last week. She loved the male perspective. And like I said, hopefully we'll have him back on here if he's available to join us on Sundays. But that's it, you guys. I don't even think we need to do predictions because we know it's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be like this fight's going to continue. And we can't wait to talk about it. I know. Can't wait. Thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. Where can we find you?
You can find me, Erika Garcia Rojas, on Twitter at Erika Garcia Rojas.
I love that. That was so hosty. And you can find me, Diona Vaughan, on Twitter at Go2GirlTV. That's G-O, the number 2, Girl TV. And until next week, you guys, be good to each other.
Yes.
Bye.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.